Tanekamana! My name is Sage Blake. I'm a wanderer, storyteller, artist immature, and, well, this will be interesting. So, due to a whole bunch of different issues, I had to take a temporary hiatus from my original plans. And one of those original plans was actually to bring back Sage After. Then a whole bunch of issues ended up cropping up, including, but not limited to, my health, both physically and mentally, and many, many other issues that I should probably keep on the down low. But regardless, I figure one of the better ways in order to get back into the swing of things is to take a look at a game that I've already taken a look at before, that being Zups. The general premise of this game is that it is a puzzle game that is essentially columns meets magical drop, only you can only pick up one orb at a time, and you can also create a whole bunch of chains horizontally, vertically, and diagonally with these orbs by matching 3 of them in a row as much as possible. Generally, your objective is to wipe the field of orbs before it gets to the bottom and completely wipes you out. There are a couple other techniques that we can invest in when we get into the maps here, and I'll show them off accordingly. You also might notice that all the stages are unlocked here, and that's specifically because I've done this before, but again, I ran into some issues along the way. I'll be splicing in the story cutscenes in between maps, but just so you know, the general plot line of this is, oh hey, there's a whole bunch of snow for whatever reason. Why? I think someone might have stolen my orb making machine. Oh no, let's get that back! And then, as it turns out, that's not necessarily the issue so much as it's the result of another person's power, and we end up having to stop that along the way. In terms of how the gameplay operates, it's fairly straightforward. Pick up an orb using a button, Z in my case, drop it using Z, advance the field by using space. You can only advance one row of orbs at a time, which is a godsend. Like, there are many instances where you'll end up completely screwed over, specifically because you end up advancing a little too far, a little too fast. So by having it be done in increments like this, then you have essentially less to worry about. Clear that, and voila! As I've mentioned before, you can wipe orbs either horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, provided 3 orbs are touching one another. There are a couple hiccups in places with how that operates. Specifically, as you might have noticed right there, I ended up setting up properly to get rid of some of those orbs, but for whatever reason it didn't register. Part of it, I think, has to do with orbs spawning in at the exact moment that the screen is scrolling, so as a result, the game gives that priority over anything else. But again, I know nothing about game design, so I could be wrong about that assessment. You may be familiar with this game as a result of the Sonic and Amateur Games Expo of 2019, and, well, this being Sage After, we cover a whole lot of those entries. Both great and less than great. Zups is a very unique game, and honestly, it deserves attention because, well, there are a few puzzle games that end up existing nowadays, and for the most part, whenever they do exist, they're almost cookie-cutter milquetoast. Match 3s. This is a match 3 by many other types of the name, but it's at least trying to be unique in that it's operating on a different rule set than most match 3s end up using. And I like that. Especially since it goes about it in a fun and interesting way. You're not aiming to clear a specific score, you're aiming to reach a goal line. Essentially, surviving. And there's enough mechanics in this game that warrant a game that's easy to pick up, hard to master. Case in point right there, what I just did. In order to set up chains in this game, orbs need to be touching one another. So one of the simplest ways you can chain is, well, via simple setting up, but you can also do some setup like so. I'm going to have this blue orb go here. Yep. I'll have this blue orb right here, and when I take up this red one and plop it down there, I completely mess up the combo. Crap. Oops. Well, I guess that will work for an example. Clear a bunch of orbs, everything shifts down, and if it shifts down correctly, then you can continue clearing like that. But you might have also noticed me doing some fairly weird setups where I'm essentially moving orbs rapid fire in order to get the next chain set up. You can do this, and it's a very interesting way of doing things, because normally you don't have that type of forgiveness where you're able to just shift a bunch of orbs or tokens, period, and be able to set up like that. Usually, it ends up being one and done. If you don't have everything set up immediately, then that's it for the combo. Zups doesn't work that way. Provided you're able to get everything set up in a reasonable amount of time, that's good enough. It makes it really easy to learn the mechanics and further expand upon them. Let's see here. Case in point right there, again. Provided I was able to move that orb and drop it in the same column, that was it, and that's it, and we can continue the combo from there. And here, I can set up a light 2-chain, like so. Then expand that. I could have expanded that into a 4-chain by moving the orbs properly, but I missed the timing. Another thing that you can end up doing once you get to the goal line is to just pick up the last orb and hold it. Essentially clear the map like that. On to the next map. In this one, we get introduced to snow blocks. Snow blocks are your generic soft junk. They end up being an interference, and, well, generally can ruin your combos. However, they can be cleared by having orbs next to them that can be cleared. So, say I were to have a snow block next to a good line of yellow orbs, and I cleared those yellow orbs, then any snow blocks touching those yellow orbs would be cleared. And I think I can set up a cheeky little combo right here by doing that. Give myself a bit of time to operate. I could have done the same thing again here, but I didn't. Oh, that one wasn't in the original. Okay, so what I was doing right there, I was essentially holding down the arrow button. In the original Sage build, you weren't able to do that. Instead, you essentially had to do a whole bunch of button mashing. Good to see that got changed. because while I like button mashing, it can be a little hard on the fingers if you're doing a lot of it relatively quickly. It'd be nice if it could move a little faster, but honestly, that's a minor sacrifice. Shift that, and I think I can clear a bunch that way. Every stage in this game has two different goals that can be met. The first is the time attack goal, which is clear the stage within an amount of time. The other goal is score attack. Get as many points as possible when trying to clear the map. That can be either a tall order or a simple task, depending on how the map is laid out. Oh shit, that's the wrong color. Oops! That's the wrong color! Way to go, me! There we go. I keep running into consistent issues on occasions with figuring out the blue and violet, but fortunately, that's where this game has a couple forgivenesses. The version of the game that I'm playing right now isn't the Sage version. It's an updated version released on Christmas that changes a few aspects. I can go into the brief list up to and including the info page, but also a big item in the settings here, we can adjust the window size. That's probably going to mess up the recording. We can also full screen the game, change the brightness, modify the sound. We can also change the appearance of the orbs. There are 4 different variants we can use. And I think I'll use design 3, because that way I can at least take advantage of the shapes in order to match things correctly. You can also use a gamepad if you want. I'm using keyboard. Fake loading time. That's actually a really cool idea. But anyway, I'm gonna skip ahead, because for the most part, these stages end up teaching you the mechanics bitwise, and that's really useful. What I want to show off is one of the 2 boss fights. Yeah, there are boss fights in this game. How the boss fights operate is a little different from how a regular stage operates. In a boss fight, you want to drain the opponent's health to 0, and in order to do that, you need to match orbs correctly and quickly. The more orbs you chain together, the more damage you'll deal. And that's also a new change. On the right, you can see the character portrait change when they're getting ready to attack. The quote-unquote attack in this case is throwing around a bunch of snow that, well, interferes with your ability to match. It's fairly annoying, and if you're not careful, the additional snow blocks can easily push you over the edge and ruin your progress. Not what I intended to do there. Oops. I think I'll at least get that out of the way. Gotta get that out of the way. At this point, I'm probably just gonna need to push this up a bit. The more orbs that you can chain together to deal damage with, the more damage you'll end up dealing with the boss. So it's a good idea to chain up as many combos as possible in order to make the boss fight go quickly. Especially since, as I've mentioned, there are both time and score attack there are both time and score attack goals that you can hit that require you to get off a lot of combos really quickly, and I don't know about you, but I'm bad at that. I don't play too many puzzle games, and, well, while this is an exception to my standard rule, part of the reason why I don't play too many is because I'm across the board bad at them. Like, for whatever reason, when it comes to a puzzle game, I'm the type that takes too long in order to get their combos set up. And by the time I end up getting them set up, I've completely lost what I'm trying to do, and I end up getting screwed over by that. Let's see if I can't get a few cheeky combos like this. Damn. Get rid of the snow. I think I can do that quick. Yeah, that'll work. Move this over. A little better. Put that there. And I think we're down 1 health bar of the 3. That's 2. In the Sage build, there was actually a glitch that you could do where you could just pick up orbs for whatever reason as they were being cleared. I don't know why it existed, probably just an accident. Although that does get me into something else that I want to talk about pertaining to Zups, and that is... I got to talking with the dev for a brief time. I'd like to think that I'm friends with him, in some respect. And according to him, the original 2019 Sage build was something he essentially just whipped up in a few months as a result of. He wanted to get something out for Sage, and his original idea fell through, which was, according to him, a recreation of one of the old Sonic Breakout games. Specifically, one for Sonic 06. But, again, he was able to repurpose some of the items to create the 2019 build relatively quickly. And he claims that it's an incredibly rushed and broken project. I never saw that for whatever reason. And if anything, if that was supposedly a very rushed and glitchy product, I'm genuinely surprised. Because I actually thought it was pretty polished, considering some of the other items of that year that came up. Legacy. I won't stop bashing that one. I think... yeah, I can push this over. Push that there. Man, I don't know how to do commentary for a puzzle game. Because at some point, I'm just gonna hit a point where I end up going like, okay, that moves there, that moves there. And that's not interesting to listen to in the slightest. If anything, that's kind of annoying, boring. But at the same rate, this is a relatively simple game to grasp, it's a simple game to learn, and it's fun. And I swear, that just doesn't happen that often, where I end up finding something that's incredibly fun and addicting to play. Shift this over. Gotta stop doing that. Yeah, if I move the snow over here, I might be able to blitz it clear quick. That's also another issue I end up running into, for me personally, when it comes to puzzle games. Input error. I end up being one of those types of players that ends up gimmicking with their controller while they're playing, and as a result of that gimmicking, I end up making stupid decisions that I wouldn't normally make if I were thinking rationally. Specifically, my tick ends up being that I end up gimmicking on patterns. if I do something to the left, then I have to do something to the right, otherwise it just weirds me out, and I'm not doing well. And even then, when I do that, I end up not doing well. Crap! Come on! I was just about to fit that in there! It's fine, it's a warm-up. I can get rid of the rest of the snow by moving this over. Oh good, we're on the last health bar. Okay. There are 2 boss fights in this game, and the second boss fight gave me a time and a half. There's a reason for that, and it's mostly because I didn't realize what was damaging the boss at the time. For the second boss fight, get good at making combos. Otherwise, you will not be able to damage the boss at all. Actually, I think I can show that off for a little bit, once I've finished with this fight. Plug that there, plug that there. Ah, crap. Wasn't quick enough. Yeah, I think I can use the stars here. Pile up a bit of snow. Clear that. In the 2020 Sage version that I originally played when I was making the first set of footage for this, and yes, there's a reason for that. I ran into an issue with OBS. Actually, not even OBS. It was more like me at that rate, because it's been a while since I've last used OBS to record. Ah! And as a result, I wasn't recording my mic properly. So that's why I had to redo all of that. Also, as it turns out, the original footage that I was using was of the Sage build and not the December build, which is by and afar the better version of the game. This game is offered for free on itch.io, but you can also contribute money to the developer. I plan on doing this hopefully soonish, because honestly, this is a really fun game, and I really like it, and I feel like I should show support. Such, speaking of support, likes are free action. I'll leave that at that. I don't like doing any type of like mockery, but even then, a little bit of support goes a long way. That's a really big window that I just took out. And freeze. Right side, the snow does give me a way of getting rid of a few more than usual. Shift that over, shift that down. And we're almost done. Ah, because I grabbed that piece, and here I go again with my gimmicking. Because I grabbed that piece way too early, then the snow, I wasn't able to clear it from the field, and now I have to shift it all around all over the place, and oh, right, combos. Oops. Right side. With a couple more clears, this should be shop closed. One more clear. There we go. I'd also like to mention that some of these time limits are really, really tight. Like, for record... Well, actually, I could go through all of the records I've gotten so far. And, again, some of these time limits were fairly tight when I was trying to establish them. I don't know how you're supposed to do that in 4 minutes, other than getting really good at chaining and such. I'm not. But yeah, in total, there are 10 stages to the Sage 2020 version, so double that of the 2019 version. And again, the updated December version adds some balancing here and there, adds a few other aspects. By and large, it's the better product, and again, I'll leave a link to the Sage page in the description. Oh, right, I was gonna show off the second boss fight for a little bit. I gotta be absolutely terrible at this. And of course, if you suck at puzzle games, then you can also play all these stages on easy mode. But why would you? It's not like it's that difficult of a game once you get down to it. Provided you're taking the time to think and plan your moves carefully, you should be okay. Although I'm gonna not do that for a little bit here. Because, again, I'm bad at chaining. Look at this. Yeah, that's better. Okay, that was very bare bones. The second boss fight is a lot harder. There's a lot more health you need to work down. There's a lot more you need to do across the board in order to make ample progress. And it's also harder. Let's see. I think I can set up the soft blocks here. I might do. That quick. When it comes to the initial setup for this one, I essentially just come down to a full-on siege mode in order to get it out of the way as quickly as possible. Is it a good idea? Definitely not. Because this full-on siege mode does not produce combos. Like, at all. So there. Look at that. And now start working on all of this. So how much am I fault here? Really shifting this around. Because what I want to do is escape. Or snow blocks to further the cascade, like so. Let's see here. So in order to get this cascade off properly, I think what I'll need to do... Actually, I don't think I can do it anymore. Damn it. At least do this, though, for a light cascade there. Then what I can do... is something like this. Do something like that. At this rate, I'm probably just gonna have to set this off quick. One, two. Could be better. Could be worse. And I think... do that, that. There are a lot of 2 sets here, so how could I potentially do a cascade off of this? If I can cascade a column down, maybe. that quick.
Do that. That's a light cascade at least. There's too many options I can really easily continue all this, I think. Unless I was willing to upkeep an entire row for all this. You're killing me. So I could do that. Not sure if it'd be a great idea. Do that. I think move you out.
Yeah, honestly, maybe I should just clear through this and leave, and then get to the next thing that I know that I can set up. Because, again, bad at puzzle games. And I don't really know how I could potentially set all this up. Like, maybe if I could get the pattern of the soft blocks together. But I can't seem to see a way to make that work. Not what I meant to do. Crap. I'm very well aware that the solution to all of this could be really, really simple. I can't see it. So I'm probably just dumb. Set up that there. Because I could have sworn that in one of the footage, in the original footage I had, I did something that had to do with a whole bunch of diagonals here. I don't remember what. That should have worked, but it didn't. That's fine. Okay, set that. Alright, and there's this. And I'm really not good at setting this up. Put that over. Diagonal spins on this one. I can see that being a thing. I can see that being a thing. If I get upheaved somewhere. If I could create some type of mass upheaval in a specific location, immediately. Twist and block. That's too quick. That. It's just trying to glitch. Okay, I think we're good now. It's just a matter of figuring out where things go. And unfortunately... there's so much I see that where it's somewhat limiting. Plug you there, plug you there, just to get full cleared out of the way. I don't know how to route this! Maybe I'm thinking about it the wrong way. Maybe if I was able to do a horizontal somewhere. Because the stuff underneath here is in a much better setup than this. And I just realized I moved the snow in a bad place. Crap. That'll at least buy me some time. And... yeah, I think it was too slow to capitalize there. Shit, that should be here. That'll start to set up. Go. That's not exactly something I should use there. Unless I maybe just here. Not much. Maybe I should just advance this to the snowball. Okay, maybe not that far. Panic set again. Okay, that's looking a little better now. Maybe this one's the back one. So that's that. Like that.
guess it's not very attack center. Much better. Crap. Put that there. Put that there. I can move that up. Probably got. That there. Shift that there. Start to upheave here. That's looking much better. Whoo, that's much better. Occasionally I could get some decent combos off, but I swear it's by luck more than anything. I had a way of setting off those stars right there. Maybe that could work. Actually, damn it. Actually, that works marvelously. Okay. Here, this diagonal, just to give myself a little more time to think. And I think I could set off here. Good, good. Where else, though? That's tiny, all things considered. And I wonder what a proper multiplayer mode of this would look like. Just a thought. Like, I could see, like, either something RPG-esque like this, where you're dealing damage to your opponent by chains, or potentially even, how should I put this? Could be something reminiscent to Columns 3 now, thinking about it, since I've played that now. Like, in that game, you could get a whole bunch of damage off on your opponent and push up their field, and then essentially push up their field by getting entire strings of pieces together, strings of clears together, or by sacrificing cleared gems that you've already wiped from the board. Something to think about. Let's see. Oh, that's an easy double. Give myself a little more time to think. It's not giving myself more time to think, but it does stack on some damage. But yeah, since I'm terrible at this game, this boss fight takes like 40 minutes for me. Again, when it comes to puzzle games, my strategy is siege more than get chains, and that's not a good mindset. Look over there. And I think I steal this. What I meant to do, but it works. That quick. I can get an easy string here. Let's just do something like this. There. What? There. I think if I put a red piece here, that'll set off a cascade. And a decently sized one at that. That was the chain of 3 noodle. That was a chain of 3 noodle. I think this and this. There we go. Overkill time.
What the f is that?
I have no idea how you're supposed to do this in 6:30. Maybe I'm just not seeing something. But regardless, I think we'll be able to call it here with what I've shown off. I'll leave a link in the description as to where you can find this game and check it out for yourself. But with all things settled, I think it's about time I return to the void. Till again, dala kitna.